Eastrow never slept. Not really. Even at dawn, the streets pulsed with movement, coffee carts opening shutters, delivery vans coughing to life, commuters with headphones tuned to their own urgency. The city wasn't cruel. It was worse. It didn't notice. It didn't stop. And in a city that never noticed, Reed Morrow was invisible. He sat against the side of a pawn shop, knees pulled to his chest, a chipped, battered guitar resting on his lap like it was the last piece of him that hadn't been stolen. His fingers hovered above the strings. Then they moved, slow at first, unsure. The sound that drifted out was gravel and velvet and sorrow. No rhythm track, no effects, just 6 fraying strings and pain made musical. People passed. Most didn't hear him, but the sound cut through, like a whisper that managed to scream. Across the street, Lal Harrow froze. He was mid-step, coffee in hand, Bluetooth in his ear, 3 unread texts and 2 voicemails buzzing in his pocket. His schedule today was brutal. But that sound. He turned, eyes narrowing at the man beneath the rusted cash for gold sign. Lal had spent 2 decades in the industry. He could spot gimmicks in 3 notes. This wasn't a gimmick. This was something else. The man didn't look up. Didn't need to. Lal crossed the street. Slowly. The guitar's voice shifted. Now it was sharper, like something clawing its way out. Then words. Raspy, broken, but deliberate. Every lyric soaked in years of everything unsaid. And something about the phrasing, the structure, the tone. Lal's jaw tensed. It wasn't just good. It was familiar. The song ended. No applause. No coins in the guitar case. Just the city rushing on. Lal crouched beside him. That's not a cover. The man didn't look over. Wasn't meant to be. You write that? A pause. Then, used to. The voice was hoarse. Slurred. But it hit something in Lyle's memory. A long dormant file in his mental archive opened with a creak. What's your name? A moment passed. Reed. Reed what? Reed Morrow. Lyle blinked. It couldn't be. That name, it was dust. A rumor. A ghost from a soundboard. Reed Morrow had played on half the underground blues records of the late 90s, always uncredited. Then he vanished. No one ever said why. No one ever asked. You ever record back in the day? Lyle asked. Reed's eyes flicked toward him, slow and skeptical. You a cop or something? I'm a producer. Reed snorted. Of course you are. Lyle pulled his phone out. Play something else. No thanks. I'm not asking. He hit record. Reed hesitated. Then, with a groan of resignation, he leaned forward. Fingers back on the strings. This time, the melody was different. Faster. Sharper. Dangerous. Lyle's hand tightened around the phone. Because this song, he knew it. Not just the style. The notes. The tempo. It was nearly identical to a track from Dane Truslow's debut album, Glass Mercy. Except this version was better. Rawer. Older. When Reed finished, Lyle didn't move. That song. What about it? It's Dane's. Reed's jaw twitched. He didn't speak. Lyle stared. What the hell's going on? Reed finally looked up. And in his eyes, Lyle saw it, defeat, yes. But beneath it, rage. Cold and unfinished. I wrote that song, Reed said. Lyle said nothing. Dane put it on his album. Called it his. Changed a few notes, a few words. Claimed it was new. It wasn't. You were partners? Friends, Reed muttered. At least, I thought we were. Lyle's phone buzzed. He looked down. Video still rolling. Numbers climbing. You're going viral, he said. Right now. Reed didn't react. Lyle stood. Come with me. Reed scoffed. I'm not a puppy. You're not a ghost, either. Not anymore. That sound, it doesn't belong on a sidewalk. Reed didn't move. Then he reached for the guitar strap, groaning as he stood. You buying lunch? Something better. They took the subway. People stared, not at Lyle in his pressed jacket, but at Reed, who smelled like yesterday and wore it like armor. He didn't care. Lyle took him to a small, bare-bones studio on Eastrow's edge. Nothing fancy, just concrete, foam, and a single mic in the recording room. Lyle preferred it that way. You couldn't fake it here. Reed stood in the doorway, staring at the mic like it was a noose. You good? Lyle asked. Reed didn't answer. Inside, the engineer flicked on the red light. Reed sat, closed his eyes, strummed once. It was all Lyle needed. They recorded for 3 hours. No breaks. No water. Reed didn't stop playing. Song after song, pouring out of him like a dam had finally cracked. Lyle didn't interrupt. Didn't dare. The last track bled into silence. Then Reed slumped forward, as if emptied out. Lyle stepped into the booth. That was insane. Reed didn't look up. People need to hear this, Lyle said. Reed muttered, too late for people. No, it's not. Lyle showed him the phone. One of those videos? Just hit 5 million views. Reed blinked. And comments. Labels asking who you are. Requests for interviews. Old fans digging through forums for your name. Still, Reed didn't speak. Then Lyle's phone buzzed again. He looked down. His face changed. Reed noticed. What? Lyle hesitated, then showed the screen. The message was short, direct. Tell Reed I want to see him. Dane. Reed's face froze. Silence. Then, he saw the video. Lyle nodded. He knows it's me. Lyle said, he wants to talk. Reed turned away. You want me to block him? Lyle asked. Reed didn't answer. Then, almost too quiet to hear. No. They agreed to meet at the studio again the next day. Lyle didn't know why Reed had agreed. Maybe he didn't either. Reed arrived early. Same clothes. Same guitar. But something in his eyes had shifted. There was a weight there now. A fire. Dane was late. Lyle checked his watch. Then the door opened. Dane Truslow walked in like he owned the place. He was older now. Sharper jaw, expensive coat, slicked hair. But his eyes, those were the same. Calculating. Cool. He looked at Reed. Neither man moved. Then Dane said, You're still alive. Reed didn't blink. Disappointed? Lyle stepped back, instinctively giving them space. Dane chuckled, but it was empty. You look terrible. You look rich. Guess we both earned it. That hit the air like a punch. Dane walked forward. Stopped at the glass between the booth and the control room. I watched those videos, he said. Didn't think you had it in you. You didn't think I'd survive. Dane turned, voice low. I didn't think you'd disappear. You didn't even fight back. Reed stepped closer. I did. You just made sure no one listened. Dane's jaw clenched. Then, without ceremony, he pulled a folder from his coat. Thick. Official. Here. Reed didn't move. What is it? Lyle asked. Dane didn't look at him. Proof I'm not the villain you think I am. Reed took it. Opened it. Lyle watched his eyes scan page after page. Ownership rights. Song credits. Legal reversals. All signed. All real. You kept all of it, Reed whispered. I was gonna sell it. I almost did. But something stopped me. What? Dane looked up. You. A long silence. Then Reed closed the folder. You're not forgiven, he said. I know. But I'll take this. He didn't shake Dane's hand. Just walked out. Later that night, Lyle couldn't sleep. Something was wrong. Not with Reed. Not with the music. With the folder. He opened it again, flipping through the documents Dane had provided. He stopped on the track list. Each song had a code. A timestamp. One stood out. Track 8. Never Let the Silence Win. Copyrighted 1996. But that couldn't be, because Lyle remembered that song from his own early work. A demo he produced in college. It had never been released. Never published. Yet it was here. Under Reed's name. Approved. Sealed. Dated. And somehow, filed a year before Lyle even wrote it. Lyle's hands went cold. That shouldn't be possible. He flipped faster now. Another track. Same problem. Then another. Then another. The hairs on his neck rose. Every song Reed recorded today had timestamps years before they were written. He stood, grabbed his phone, dialed. Reed. No answer. Reed, call me back. Now. Something's wrong with the files. I think Dane. He stopped, because on his screen, a new notification blinked. A video. Just uploaded. His footage. But edited. And at the end, a clip that Lyle never recorded. A conversation between Dane and someone unseen. He'll believe it, just like we planned. And then static. Lyle stared at the screen. His breath caught, because in the reflection of the control room glass, the shadow beside Dane wasn't Reed. It was him. Reed Morrow's fingers froze mid-chord. The final note hung in the studio air, trembling. Behind the glass, through the haze of soundproofing and shock, stood a face Reed never thought he'd see again. Dane Truslow, the man who'd buried him. Reed's gut twisted. His hand slipped off the guitar. For a moment, everything inside him screamed to leave, to walk out, to vanish. Again. But he didn't move. Lyle Harrow, still behind the console, didn't flinch. He pressed the intercom. He's here to talk, Lyle said, voice low. That's all. Reed stared at Dane. Time hadn't been kind to either of them. Dane's sharp edges were dulled. His hair grayer, shoulders slumped beneath a sleek coat. But his eyes, those were still Dane's eyes. Calculating. Empty. And wet. Reed blinked. Dane was crying? No. That had to be a trick. Reed stood. Slowly. Guitar still humming against the stool. The mic buzzed with silence as he opened the door and stepped into the control room. They stood 3 feet apart. No one spoke. Then Dane opened his mouth. "You sound the same," he said, voice cracked. "Maybe better." Reed didn't reply. His jaw was clenched too tight. Dane tried again. "I saw the video. I didn't believe it was you at first." Lyle watched from the side. Still. Silent. Dane swallowed. "I came to make things right. That did it." Reed laughed. But it wasn't joy. It was bitter. Sharp. "Right?" Reed said. "You want to make things right now? You erased me, Dane. Stole everything. My songs. My credit. My life." Dane looked down, as if he'd rehearsed this. "I know. I was young. Greedy. Afraid the industry would chew me up if I didn't take what I could. And I was collateral?" Reed shot back. "We were brothers, man. I've regretted it every day." Reed turned to leave. But Dane pulled out a folder. Old. Worn. Inside, papers. Contracts. "I never sold the rights," Dane said. "I kept them. For years. I couldn't bring myself to profit from it. I want you to have them back. All of them. Your name. Your credits. Everything." Reed didn't move. "Take it," Dane said. "You earned it." A long silence. Reed took the folder. Slowly. For himself. Not for Dane. A pause. Then, something neither of them expected. Reed held out his hand. Dane took it. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't peace. But it was something. Lyle exhaled quietly from the corner. The moment cracked. Then shattered. Because Reed noticed something. The signature on the top contract, his old publishing deal, it looked wrong. Not old. Fresh. Too fresh. He frowned. "You said you never sold the rights," Reed said slowly. "I didn't," Dane replied. Reed turned the page. Another contract. Also signed. Also fresh ink. The dates were recent. Too recent. Something tightened in Reed's chest. "These were signed last month." Dane stiffened. "That can't be right." Reed flipped another page. The paper crinkled. Lyle stepped forward. "Let me see." He scanned the signature. The date. His eyes narrowed. "Dane," he said. "Who notarized these?" Dane hesitated. Reed's voice dropped. "Who notarized these, Dane?" Silence. Dane looked at the floor. "I had to transfer them first. There were some issues. Legal stuff." Reed felt the lie crawling off Dane's tongue. "You're lying." "No," Dane snapped too quickly. Reed stepped back, heart racing. "You're trying to control it again. Even now." "I'm not," Dane barked. "I'm trying to fix it." "Then why forge my name?" Reed demanded, thrusting the page forward. "This signature, this ain't mine. And it's dated 2 weeks ago. You've been making deals, haven't you?" Dane's face paled. "I was trying to protect the catalog," he whispered. "It was getting attention again. There were offers. Big ones. I didn't know if I'd stay quiet?" Reed snapped. "So you signed for me again. Just like last time." Lyle stepped in. "We need to talk. Now. Alone." Reed walked out without a word. Guitar case in hand. The folder pressed to his chest like it might catch fire. That night, Reed didn't sleep. He sat in his tiny room above a forgotten jazz bar. The folder open. His old songs staring back at him. Dozens of them. Some he hadn't thought about in 20 years. All credited to Dane. All now allegedly his again. But it wasn't right. The dates didn't match. The contracts were too clean. He flipped through, searching for something, anything, that hadn't been tampered with. Then he found it. A letter. Tucked inside a back pocket. Unmarked. Unfolded, the paper shook in his hands. Typed. No signature. "If you're reading this, Reed, then I failed again. I told myself I'd fix it before it was too late. That I'd find a way to give it back without being exposed. But the truth is, I already sold the catalog. I'm sorry. It was never supposed to go this far." Reed's blood ran cold. He read it again. And again. Dane sold the catalog. The songs. Everything. That was the truth. The folder, the performance, the apology, it was all a setup. Lyle called that morning. "We need to meet." They met at an old diner on the south end of Eastrow. Reed brought the letter. Lyle brought his laptop. They sat in a booth, rain tapping the windows like a ticking clock. Lyle's fingers flew across the keyboard. "I've been digging," he said, "into the label registry, into song ownership databases." He turned the screen toward Reed. The catalog was sold to a holding company in Luxembourg. 6 months ago, 3 weeks before the video went viral. Reed stared at the screen. "No name. Shell Corporation," Lyle said. "But guess what else I found?" He opened another file. Dane didn't act alone. He clicked. A list of email threads. One name stood out. Ren Halden. Reed blinked. "Ren? My old manager?" "Yeah. Turns out she's been active again. Quiet, but connected. A few of your old tracks were re-released overseas through a boutique label in Berlin. A month before Dane showed up. Ren hated Dane. Maybe she still does. Or maybe," Reed said, voice dropping, "she wanted a piece too." They sat in silence. Then Lyle asked, "You ready to fight this?" Reed didn't hesitate. "Yeah, but something still didn't sit right." Later that night, Reed returned to the studio. Alone. He pulled out an old hard drive Dane once gave him. Years ago, right before everything fell apart. He plugged it into the console. Old files. Recordings. One titled, Ren Backup, Master Rights. His pulse spiked. He hit play. Static. Then, a conversation. Muffled. Then clearer. Dane's voice. "Just get him to sign. He doesn't need to know." Ren's voice. Cold. Precise. "He won't ask. Not if it looks official." Reed's hand shook on the dial. Dane again. "Once he's out, we sell the masters. He can busk the rest of his life for all I care." Then laughter. Reed yanked out the drive. His stomach turned. They planned it. Together. All of it. Not just back then. Now. He called Lyle. "I have proof," he said. "Audio. From back then." Lyle's voice was tight. "We need to act now." But before Reed could respond, something happened. The line crackled. Then died. He tried calling back. Nothing. Signal gone. A knock. Reed froze. Another knock. Louder. He looked through the peephole. No one. Just a small envelope. On the floor. He picked it up. No return address. Inside, one photo. A picture of Reed. From 2 nights ago. Walking out of the studio. Taken from across the street. And a note. One sentence. "Some ghosts don't like being exorcised." Reed Morrow stared at the photo. His own face. Blurred but unmistakable. Walking alone. Head down. Guitar on his back. Someone had been watching. The note trembled in his hands. "Some ghosts don't like being exorcised." He read it again. And again. The air in his small apartment tightened. Cold. Still. Like the quiet before a storm. Someone didn't want the truth coming out. Not Dane. Not Ren. Maybe both. He sat in the corner, heart pounding, eyes flicking toward the front door every few seconds. But no second knock came. Just silence. He didn't sleep. The next morning, Lyle Harrow met him at the cafe 2 blocks from the studio. Rain fell in thin sheets. Neither of them touched their coffee. Reed placed the photo on the table. Lyle leaned forward, frowning. "Who took it?" "I don't know," Reed said. "But they knew where I was. When I left. What I had." Lyle tapped the table nervously. "We need to move fast. I have the audio. And the hard drive. In my bag. Still safe." Lyle nodded. "We're meeting with an attorney this afternoon. Real one. Quiet. She knows how to trace Shellcore, follow fake trails. If this goes the way I think." Reed didn't speak. Because he already knew. This wasn't about getting his music back anymore. This was about burning it down. They met the attorney in a cold office on the top floor of an unmarked building. No sign on the door. Just a buzzer. Her name was Callan. Sharp-eyed. Blunt. Reed handed her the hard drive. She listened. No reaction. No smile. No shock. Just quiet confirmation. "This is enough," she said. "More than enough." Then she opened a folder of her own. "Ren Halden," she said, flipping through pages, "has been laundering publishing rights through a string of boutique labels. Mostly Eastern Europe, small pressings, then funneled back into a holding company." "Same one Dane used?" Lyle asked. Callan nodded. "They partnered. Years ago. Went dark after you dropped off the grid, Reed. But your video lit a fire under the catalog. They thought you were gone. That the past wouldn't speak." Reed leaned forward. "Can we stop them?" Callan looked him straight in the eyes. "We can destroy them. That night, Reed sat in the studio alone. Same stool, same guitar, same mic. He played. Not for a crowd, not for applause. He played a song he hadn't touched in 20 years. One Dane said would never work. One Ren said was too raw. He played it straight through, then uploaded it. One file, untouched. No polish, no pitch correction, just sound and truth. He called it The Quiet Before. 2 days later, the storm began. Callan's legal filings hit 4 countries simultaneously. Copyright claims, fraud allegations, backdated transactions exposed through whistleblower data dumps. The catalog was frozen. The boutique labels went into emergency lockdown, and Ren Halden disappeared. No calls, no emails, no trace. But Dane stayed. And then he cracked. Reed met him for the last time in a studio basement Lyle had rented out. No producers, no lawyers, just them. Dane looked hollow. He sat, hands folded, as Reed entered. "Why?" Reed asked. Dane didn't blink. "Because you were better than me." Silence. "You wrote things I couldn't, felt things I couldn't. The only way I could compete was by stealing." Reed didn't move. "Then why come back?" he asked. "Why pretend to give it back?" Dane looked up, eyes rimmed red. "Because I'm dying." Reed felt something in his chest sink. "Brain," Dane said softly. "Too far gone. I got 6 months, maybe." Silence stretched again. "I wanted to clean it up," he said. "End it with one good thing. But I couldn't let go even then." Reed sat across from him. "You already ended it. Years ago." Dane nodded. Then, without a word, he slid over a new folder. Inside, official transfer papers. From the holding company. Signed. Stamped. With one name. Reed Morrow. Clean. Legal. No tricks. No hidden deals. "Ren didn't know I kept a second clause," Dane said. "If I die or give consent, it reverts." "She won't stop," Reed said. Dane nodded. "Then don't let her." The final showdown came through a screen. A live stream. I'll set it up. Reed sat alone, guitar in hand, thousands watching. He spoke softly. Not about revenge. Not about betrayal. But about music. About what it cost. What it gave. And what no one could ever take again. Then he played The Quiet Before. Raw. Uncut. Free. The fallout came fast. Ren was traced through offshore accounts in Cyprus. A warrant issued. She ran again. Interpol got involved. The boutique labels were shut down. The masters, finally, rested with Reed. And the industry watched as a ghost from the past reclaimed the future. Months later, Eastrow was quiet. Reed stood backstage, guitar in hand. The crowd beyond the curtain waited. Thousands. Cameras. Lights. But Reed didn't shake. He'd already faced the worst. A man stepped beside him. "Lyle, you ready?" Reed nodded and walked out. Cheers exploded. He stepped to the mic. Paused. Looked out. He didn't see an audience. He saw every alley. Every lie. Every ghost. And then he played. Not for them. For himself.